Today I'm going to be tearing down my VSR and showing you specifically how to set up your Action Army chamber with a bucking and barrel. Personally, right now I am running a PDI 601 with an RHOP patch, but this can be different from you. You don't have to run a PDI 601 with a RHOP. Pretty much any VSR barrel will work, and I haven't tried AEG barrels, but I don't think AEG barrels work unless you cut them properly to work in your chamber. You'll need a screwdriver or a screwdriver kit, like so, which helps, which has multiple different little screwdrivers for working on your tech stuff. So right here, this is a little bracket that mounts your gun into your stock and also mounts your hop-up chamber into your barrel. So we'll loosen those up first, which in your case you may not have to take this off yet, but I have to because of my Mars rail attachment. When I go to unscrew my barrel, this will bump into that, which will make me not be able to unscrew the barrel. So I'll go ahead and unscrew this, and my screws are a little stripped, so I'm pulling up on my chamber to put pressure on the back sides of the threads. Alright, that one's loose. Alright, and that one's loose. So let's take the block and set it aside. Now we're ready to undo your barrel from your receiver. So we'll start off by taking this screw out, which again I have lightly stripped out from taking it apart multiple times and tightening it up a little too tight. Set that in a place you won't lose it. Now, a thing to note, if you're using a VSR and you have a rail going through or any of your screws, there's screw holes under here, which I'll demount my scope and show you. There we go. So you can see screw holes here and right here. If you're disassembling this barrel and you have any screw in this hole, it must be removed or backed out into all the way receding inside of your rail. If not, you will strip the threads on your barrel, which is not good. Means you will be Teflon taping it and sticking it in and hoping your barrel never flies out. So your barrel is standard clockwise threads, so you'll lefty-loosey to unscrew it, turn it counterclockwise. Okay, now your receiver, you are now good to set aside. We won't be needing this for messing with the Action Army chamber. Okay, so moving on to here. You're ready to go ahead and pull this out now that we have all the brackets removed. Tighten my hop-up chamber, because I do believe my hop-up chamber is backed up all the way off right now, and it's rubbing the outside of the barrel, which is making my hop arm scrape the outside of the barrel, causing tension and make it not want to come out. So I'll tighten that up, and it should scoot right out. There we go. Here we have our barrel. This right here is a barrel spacer that comes with it that's inside the stock chamber. This is on the Pro model, but it'll be very similar to the G-Spec or any other model of VSR. So now we're left with the Action Army hop-up chamber and the barrel, in my case the 601 PDI. We will now need to get out a 1.5 millimeter Allen key for points. So let's orient it. Right here is where your BBs feed on the bottom side. You can see that. There's a hole on both sides directly correlating to this screw right here on both sides, left and right of the hole. Those must be backed out until they're no longer inside the chamber. You don't have to take them all the way out, you just have to make sure they're going to be no longer in contact with the plastic piece, which I will show you in a bit. Okay, in a straight line down from where your BBs feed in to your chamber, there's another screw here. This just tightens down with that plastic piece I was telling you about, so it must be also screwed out. And this one can be screwed out to be pretty much flush with that. Now we have all three of those screws loose, one on this side, and then one on the very bottom where the chamber feeds. This little plastic piece can be removed. So let's go ahead and take that off. Okay, now our chamber is pretty much free. There's just one last thing that we gotta do, and we will need our 2mm Allen key to back off our hop-up chamber. This right here holds down. In my case specifically, I have a Omega nub in there, which puts pressure on my hop-up rubber. So I don't want to pull this directly out yet. So I'll grab this, and being extra cautious, I'll put my finger on top of this to make sure that spring that's inside there that puts pressure on the hop-up arm doesn't launch all my parts. Alright, I do believe I'm loose now. You'll have this little piece right here which goes to your screw there that adjusts your hop arm. Then you have your hop arm itself, which you can see here, and your nub, which I just lost. Alright, and I'm back. I found the hop-up nub piece. You can see it's the Omega nub, which I'll try to put a little better lighting on too. Okay, it's this little piece. It's got curvature on the bottom, and I'll show you better how to assemble that when we get to it. Okay, so now that we have our hop-up nub and our hop-up arm backed all the way off, this piece is nice out and easy. Okay, so it's easy to show you on the bottom side. Okay, there we go. So this little bit right here is where the hop-up nub sits, which I will give you a zoom in on that in just a bit. And then your spring sits in this little ported hole right there. So let's go ahead and pull out the bucking. On here you can see I have a Teflon tape mod, and that just helps ensure better air seal. So I will go ahead and remove that right now. So right here you can see my RHOP patch, which I had done at Mid-Missouri Airsoft. They have a great tech that does work, and yeah. So mine, that right here is the window. It may be bridged or not bridged, which means you'll have a little metal bracket on this outer rim on this side of your hop window. If it's not, then, or you just will or you won't have it. Whenever aligning your hop-up nub, you'll see this little bitty branch here, and that goes to the right side of your hop window. Notice which side has the larger diameter hole. This one has a smaller diameter, and this one has a larger diameter. The larger diameter goes over the bucking first, or goes over the barrel first. And then it slips over and will line up with the little notch inside the barrel that you can kind of see right there. Pretty much puts it at a straight 90 degree. And that'll make sure that your mound on your bucking puts pressure right on that hop window whenever you adjust your hop arm. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is show you how to do a Teflon tape mod, which is what I do to create a better seal, and it just makes your shots a little more consistent. So, you are going to need Teflon tape or plumber's thread tape, pipe thread tape, and what you do is you take it and you place it right across your bucking and your barrel. Hold on, let me get this lined up for you. So you'll pretty much do a like a 1/3 on your bucking and 2/3 on your barrel, like so. Make this fit fairly tight, because it'll make it seal better if it's tight. You want to do one, and then what I like to do is I don't cut, I pull until it releases. This will make your thread tape seal up nice and well, especially when you run your fingers over in the same direction that you ran the tape. So now I have a good seal around my bucking and barrel. In case you couldn't see that. I rotated around like that with my fingers, and I placed it and tore it. If you're running specifically an R-hop patch, you will have to remove the alignment nub on your VSR bucking. So, if you aren't running an R-hop patch, don't worry about this. This isn't for you. So, we're going to get to putting this in the chamber. For your hop-up nub that's sticking outside your chamber, your alignment nub, you will find the slot on your Action Army chamber. Okay, when you go to put this into your chamber, be sure that these two are aligned. Your alignment ridge and that port, it will slide up and lock it in place. So I'm sliding it in now, so that way it'll be lined up. But I will not do this because mine is actually turned because of my R-hop patch. But whenever you do it, you will slide in and it will line up straight up to the back. So, if you are running an R-hop patch and you did cut this off, what I do is I rotate this to the very bottom of the port of the barrel rather than the R-hop, and you will stick this straight to the bottom, like so. And you'll run on a Maple Leaf Autobot bucking, you'll run those two lines right down the side of your Action Army chamber to keep everything lined up. Alright, one thing to note before you get it to the very back is you want to watch in your window right above your hop arm, this little groove right in here, to make sure that your rubber is not getting caught on this corner piece. If it is, you may have to push it down with the Allen key or something. It appears that mine's going smoothly right now, but I have had times where I had to just press it in. And everything went smoothly. Okay, now we're ready for the next step. So let's go ahead and grab our 1.5mm Allen key again. And I'm going to try to get you guys a close-up on how your nubs and your spring fit into your chamber. So, give me one moment. Okay, so now we're moving on to assembling the hop-up chamber and getting everything put in place. So, whenever you get your nub, there'll be a rounded part of your nub which you will slip in the groove that matches on this chamber. Fairly simple. Then you will grab your spring that goes in the hole while holding this arm vertical or horizontal to the ground in your chamber vertical, like so. And when you go to assemble it, try to keep your arm horizontal and rotate your barrel, and chamber like so. That'll keep everything in place very nicely. Once you have pressure on that, you're free to flip it over. You will grab your little adjustment piece, which is this little square piece, has a hole in it, and you'll orient the long side towards your hop-up arm. Alright, so now we will grab our 2mm Allen key and tighten our hop-up arm like so. Okay, now to do the rest of the hop-up chamber. So, now we're ready to slip on our black plastic piece. Orient this so that way your little ring or your little ridge is towards the front of the barrel. Your nozzle end will float into your chamber. Like so, right over your barrel. Okay. these little holes here, make sure they're lined up with your longer screws, and shove all the way back. Now we're good to tighten these screws. Grab your 1.5 millimeter Allen key and screw it into your plastic like so, the little holes in your plastic. Okay, and then this one tightens down onto the plastic. It's very crucial to make sure you get this piece screwed in, or your block for your alignment with your outer barrel will not go on, which I will show you later. Okay, now your Action Army chamber is fully assembled with your barrel. You are ready to assemble it into your outer barrel. So, first grab your plastic sleeve and go ahead and slip this into your outer barrel. There we go. And I'm going to take my screwdriver, just give it a nice little push to make sure everything is down really nice. There we go. Okay, now we're ready for our final bit of assembly. When you push your hop-up chamber into your barrel, orient your barrel where it's whole side up, and orient this where it's your feeding side of your chamber up, because these will line up after you get your barrel together. Okay, you'll feel it go into your outer barrel guides that go, or your barrel spacers on the outside of the inner barrel and the inside of the outer barrel. So go ahead and slide your chamber in. I personally have problems because my nozzle is misaligned with my barrel. So if I find it, now my barrel is situated inside my end cap. Now I need to line up my chamber. So I orient it left and right so that way when I get my block, it will sit on there. Another thing that you can do is use your block to orient this barrel. What you can do is you can go ahead and screw on this piece. I had this piece on. We're going to slide this back into position. So I went a little too far there, and you're going to slide it just so your grooves line up on your barrel and you can get your screw in place. I'm going to have to plop that screw out so I can see the hole and know when it's lined up. Alright, so right now I'm lined up with my chamber and my outer barrel. Now I gotta do left and right rotations to make sure everything's good. Okay, now I have everything centered up. If you do not have a Mars rail that extends over your receiver, this step will not be important to you. You should be able to thread this right onto your receiver. But since I do have a Mars rail, I have to remove this block again, and then I'm good to go ahead and thread this onto my receiver. So whenever you're threading this onto your receiver, go until it's tight, and then back it off until your screw holes align, like so. Then you'll get your little bitty screw, place it in, and tighten it up. Which in my case, it doesn't get tight, it just threads in a little ways because I stripped mine out. Now that your outer barrel is attached to your receiver, we are good to attach this block, if you didn't already do it in the previous step. Now we're good to slip our barrel and receiver into our stock, and we will be finished. Unless you have to install your scope back onto your rail, which I will also do. Although it's technically not a part of the process. Okay, now we will get our 2.5mm Allen key. And we will tighten the front end down first. The reason why I say the front end down first is when you get your front end tightened down, it makes sure everything's aligned, and your back one's just a holder. You'll notice on the back end of the Tokyo Marui stocks, they're kind of slotted out, and that's so your back one has a little playroom, in case you didn't know what that was for. So now we can screw our back receiver Allen key down. Give them about 2.5 inch-pounds of torque. Not too much, just enough to kind of put a little spring in your Allen key. Just like so. And you're done, minus attaching your scope or bipod. So now I'll attach my scope. You'll need to play around with finding out what is proper eye relief for you. I like my scope more towards the back of my rifle for whenever I'm going prone. And a lot of people actually like their scopes more close to the back of the rifle. It's just a thing that a lot of people prefer over most. But again, everyone's different. Okay, another thing that I just want to kind of pick at, because it bothers me, is when people put on their bipods and they put them on backwards. Like so. You put these backwards. If you were to load your bipod, or like press forward on your gun, which we call loading, your bipods are gonna fold and it's gonna smash your barrel straight into the dirt, and you don't want this. So what you do is you orient your bipod with your legs sitting forward. This also makes it, with the VSRs, much easier to change out mags when your bipod's folded. I am currently running a Black Hawk Sportster model, which I really like this bipod because it has a little bit of cant in it that you can lock whenever you get your gun level, which in airsoft sniping can be pretty important. If your gun is not level, you will have spin to one side or the other. Thank you guys.